New Zealand's Tarawera Falls are one of the tourist highlights in the picturesque Bay of Plenty. They are the beginning of the Tarawera River, which drains Lake Tarawera in the heart of the country's volcanic hinterland. The lake is one of the several geographical features and tourist destinations which bear the name Tarawera, which border the man-made Tarawera forest and which attract some 10,000 people every year on recreational pursuits. Today, the forest covers an area well in excess of 30,000 hectares, which Tasman Forestry has planted, mostly in radiata pine, over the past 25 years. Its purpose is to feed the Tasman pulp and paper mill and fulfill its demand for raw material to supply pulp and newsprint, not only to New Zealand consumers, but to those in Japan and other Asian countries. Tasman has utilised some of the poorer land on which to grow its pine, land which only 100 years ago was covered in volcanic ash from the violently erupting Mount Tarawera. At first glance, the Tarawera forest is a working environment, but within its bounds, its thousands of visitors are fishing, hunting, tramping, swimming, or just picnicking in activities which extend year-round. When the fire risk in the forest is low, Tasman allows virtually unrestricted use of its facilities, and local motorcyclists have for years taken advantage of this by trail bike riding on the roads and tracks. In more recent years, the local Trail Riders Club, together with the Tasman Company, has staged what has become one of the motorcycling classics in New Zealand, the Tarawera 100. This annual test of motorcycling skills takes place in winter each year and takes riders through some of the toughest but most attractive country New Zealand has to offer. Year after year, the field has grown and attracted some of racing's top personalities, all questing to take the coveted Tarawera 100.
It really started off back obviously 30 years ago, and I was a very strong member of the Whakatane Motorcycle Club at that time, and the group of guys from Tarawera, the Roosendales and the Yeomans and them, they were keen to get a club going and have an event, but they weren't affiliated to the Autocycle Union, which is now Motorcycle New Zealand. So they came to our club, and we got the permits and all that and worked together with them, and it started from there. And I think from memory there was probably about 45 riders at the first one, and we're all timed. I think there's 3 of us went off at minute intervals, and that was like that for a couple of years, and then it progressed on to a mass start, and there's some mighty big mass starts. There's always a lot of hoopla because they always revolved us around an area where the public could see a bit more, and yeah, that was scary because there's always people falling over and that sort of stuff there. And in those days it was a big spectacle, probably as big a spectacle as it is now, because they had buses that transported people through the forest to the various vantage points. And the various vantage points were the parts that I hated the most: deep rivers and swamps. And in some of the deep river crossings, they would put boulders in the way or logs in the water to try and make you fall off. So I'm really happy in more modern times that we don't have any of that stuff. It's just progressed on and on each year and become a notable event throughout New Zealand. I think it's a fantastic thing that the club has lasted that long as well as the event. And it's in no small part to the forerunners of the club and to the present committees, and I hope for the future.
Formula One World Champion Graham Crosby, Formula One Road Race World Champion, rode on the Isle of Man and various other places. They've come here, top riders. They've come from the South Island, Goose Davidson. The best performance of all, I would have said, would have been Denny Holm, probably 60, oh no, probably let's say 55. And he finished 17th out of 200, a field of 200. That's an excellent, excellent result, I felt. It's all in how you ride it, I think, because it's never going to be the same every lap. Like a road race, you know it's there and that's it, but you get these hundreds and it changes from lap to lap, minute to minute. One rider comes down and there's a bank up of 100 bikes till they get it sorted. So you might see the first three come through and then a gap a mile long, and you think, what the hell's happened?
In 74, 75, 76, the Whakatane Motorcycle Club was probably the biggest in the country, and we had international riders like Gaston Ra here and Akira Watanabe. So it was a very progressive area, the Bay of Plenty, particularly the Whakatane area, and motorcycling was big, and not everybody wanted to ride motocross. And probably Morris Yeoman, the Rosendale boys, Terry Casserly, myself, Richard and a few other people got together, and we had this huge Kaingaroa Forest and Tasman Forest at Tarawera, and we started trail riding, and a club was formed, and that's where the Tarawera Trail Riders Club all started. The early days was a bit more enduro-y, so it wasn't as fast, and we had a lot of creek crossings, and we certainly had a lot of rocky areas and huge great slides down hills that were really, you know, a lot steeper than people could handle today. So the events were more of an enduro and an endurance. In fact, I can remember that the first event that was ever held in 1978, which was run by the Whakatane Motorcycle Club because they were the only club that could get a permit, and the Tarawera Trail Riders Club at that stage were not affiliated to MNZ, only 30 people finished. So they were a little bit tougher than they are today, and you know, I believe a little bit more fun.
Spectacle through to the pit area. Into the middle, Darryl, please. In third place.
Who's at this time? Who has taken over the lead, the 1986 Tarawera 100? Looks like a pair of Yamahas coming through. Number 1, Mark Davis, is in the lead. Second, Roy Herbert. In third place, someone on the Honda, Wayne McKinley on the XR 600 Honda. Come on through. Tim Aston moving through now. Sean Clark.
Danny was a good club member of ours. He rode his bike quite a few times. I think his young son actually rode his bike too, rode a bike as well. He was a very meticulous sort of guy with his machinery. He would you'd have a look at his bike, and all the pins were wired, nothing would come undone on that bike. But Danny was also told us one day to make sure the winner gets a Laurel garland, winner's garland for the winner, and for quite a while they've had that.
He was a club member, was he also at working gigs with you?
Oh, he was right into it. He was a good woodworking man, yeah.
You did something that you'd never achieved before, and just at the end of it, you were just on a high for the next day or so. You know? Even though it was hard work and you were a little bit feeling a little bit worse for wear at the end of it, it was certainly a buzz knowing that you just won the penultimate endurance event in the country. There was one year in particular, I remember that it was just, it was not a nice ride. There was probably about 400 metres of swamp that they put us through, and it was virgin swamp. And walking through it, initially I think the guys marked it out and thought, oh yeah, this won't cut up, but after about the first 20 bikes, the bottom fell out of it. So the only way to get through it was to physically try and lift your bike through it, and it was diabolical. They ended up cutting part of that out. But the secret back then was to actually aim for the spectators, because spectators didn't like getting their feet wet.
Helmets on, checked, glasses, goggles, helmets behind the head, and the sign goes, the race is in your control. Wait for it.
was a very, very humbling experience for me actually. I had a suspicion they were going to do something to celebrate my 30th, but I didn't expect a life membership, and then to get a standing ovation. I just really got quite emotional within myself, but it was probably the most wonderful thing I've had actually in my motorcycle riding time.